Mr. Speaker,
The gentleman from Fairfax, Ms. Weiss.
would the gentleman from Henrico resume the floor for purpose of question?
Will the gentleman yield? Gentleman yields.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. As I look at the language of the amendment before us, it reads, or from stem cells directly obtained from human embryos. Would you define what a human embryo is?
Human embryo is a child in the uterus.
Further question, Mr. Speaker?
Will the gentleman yield?
Certainly.
Gentleman yields.
I would ask the gentleman, I've heard a number of references to the conception defining a human embryo. Would conception be included in in the definition that we are about to approve?
Yes, ma'am.
Further question, Mr. Speaker?
Will the gentleman yield?
Certainly.
Gentleman yields.
I would ask the gentleman, do I understand then that the definition of conception is the joining of egg and sperm?
That is correct.
Further question, Mr. Speaker?
Will the gentleman yield?
Yes, sir.
Gentleman yields.
Then I would ask the gentleman so that any research done by the entity in any of its research activity that may involve a fertilized egg in a petri dish would in fact be under this language an induced abortion, or it would be cells obtained from a human embryo and would disqualify that entity from participating in this tax credit.
As I read this language, it addresses two things. One is embryonic stem cells, and the other is cells of tissue from an induced abortion.
Mr. Speaker, a further question?
Will the gentleman yield?
Certainly.
Gentleman yields.
But the language before us that I was making sure that I understand says from stem cells directly obtained from human embryos, and you indicated that a human embryo includes a egg and cell, since that is conception, and so therefore that cell, a fertilized egg in a petri dish, would be part of the definition that is before us. Is that not true?
I don't read that language this way. I think there are two issues. One is the embryonic stem cells, which are stem cells, and the other is the the tissues of cells from an induced abortion.
Mr. Speaker, further question?
Will the gentleman yield?
Certainly.
Gentleman yields.
Then if I could ask, at what point from the fertilized egg, which you have defined as an embryo, at what point is there then in the cell division an embryonic stem cell?
The embryonic stem cells are part of the embryo from inception.
Then, Mr. Speaker, further question?
Will the gentleman yield?
Certainly.
Gentleman yields.
Then if I understand that a stem cell is part of the embryo from the moment of conception, I still conceptually see a cell being an embryo, a fertilized egg being an embryonic stem cell. Certainly on the first division, you would have an embryonic stem cell, which would happen in a petri dish. Is that not true?
I'm sorry, can she repeat that question?
Well, Mr. Speaker, if I may, to repeat the question as I'm trying to follow the answer that you indicated in the previous answer that an embryonic stem cell is present from the moment of conception. And if your previous answer that conception was the moment of fertilization, which could occur in a petri dish, that embryonic stem cell is either there at the moment of conception, meaning that when there's only one fertilized cell, or it certainly would be there then based on your answer that it's there from conception at the first division, which again could occur within that petri dish. Do I understand it correctly?
I think that's correct, yes.
I thank the gentleman.
Why don't we, to clear my desk up here a little